You want to talk about bringing the hype, bringing energy. We're bringing back the Hog Talk segments. We're fantastic to be joined on this Hog Talk segment by, most of you probably know him as Hype Man Cory Tomlinson, that does the Hype Man for Arkansas Gymnastics and was on site for the Alabama game, taking filling in there. We're going to welcome to the show Cory Tomlinson.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
How's it going? You got your first taste of the basketball game the other night. How was that for you?
It was incredible and an amazing opportunity for me to get asked to be a part of that. Over the last 6 seasons that I've been around the University of Arkansas, I've been watching some amazing ebbs and flows in the basketball team and across sports all around campus. And I think when I got the phone call that they wanted me to be a part of that particular game, it was simultaneous nerves on my own performance of, the ESPN stakes, the ranked Alabama, the coming off of at the time we were still not having the greatest record, and we hadn't started our winning streak with men's basketball just yet. And it was amazing getting to walk into Bud Walton Arena, knowing that we were coming off of a winning streak and that we were just going to be able to grab some energy at the top of the show and see how long we could take it. And safe to say, towards the end there with, that 3-point spread, it was very exciting to get to ride the wave alongside of all of the fans and start a wave in the middle of the game as well.
Yeah. That was probably one of the biggest crowds of the season for Arkansas basketball. And so let's rewind it and take it back a little bit. So, let the people know what's a little bit about you, your background, before being the hype man here at Arkansas.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This hype man role has really taken a shape of its own. All of a sudden it's on the back of my jersey and it's what everyone knows me as. But truth is back in 2010, I started my undergrad degree at UCLA and I was a team manager for the women's gymnastics team at UCLA. And I didn't want to just be a team manager that moved mats and handed out leotards and organized rides and did all the roles of a team manager. I wanted to figure out how I could have value as a male on a women's sports team. And what I did is I just decided after I moved boards and moved mats on the gymnastics floor at a meet, I also decided to bring some energy to the crowd and get people on their feet and create some energy. So the head coach at the time gave me ultimate permission to make that happen as long as I got my job done. And I kept getting the job done and I kept bringing energy. And then UCLA hosted the national championship in 2013. And all of a sudden I was doing a flash mob on top of the vault at the end of the event. So this idea of me bringing energy into stadiums was kind of born in my undergrad days. And then how it got to what it is today, head coach Jordan Weber, now at the University of Arkansas for the gymnastics program, was actually a team manager for a few of her years at UCLA before she stepped into a coaching role. And we overlapped 1 year. And in that 1 year, we became the best of friends. And my claim to fame is I did teach Jordan Weber everything she knows about being a team manager for a gymnastics team. So she might have a gold medal, but I get to say that I taught her everything she knows about being a team manager. But no, I play with her on that all the time because she's an absolutely incredible individual. And she's still one of my very best friends. When she got the job at Arkansas, she asked basically asked me to figure out what sort of role I could have coming over to help her build the program that she's been able to build. And I got to step in year one alongside of the incredible staff at the University of Arkansas at the time, event management, marketing, all the SID, everyone, support staff surrounding the Arkansas gymnastics program. And we did some fun stuff to create some great buzz around a program. And one of those things was slap a jersey on my back and lead the student section and some innovative new traditions that we were creating, one tradition at a time. And now it is what you see today, having grown so much over the years, and we're super grateful for all of the steps that it's taken to get here. But it is pretty chilling to see how this random guy who started as a team manager at UCLA is now getting asked by the athletic director to participate in a game against number 3 Alabama in Bud Walton Arena to hype up the crowd for a men's basketball game. It's been quite the journey.
Yeah, man. And, Arkansas Gymnastics, beat number 2 LSU and then number 3 Florida, right? I didn't get those. Or did I get them backwards?
I can't really keep track of the rankings. Rankings are so weird and ambiguous in gymnastics, but yes, really high ranked teams.
Top 2 teams, right? 2 in a row. So obviously, what you're doing to give the Gymbacks a home gym advantage. I don't know what the lingo is. Okay, so what you're doing to give them that advantage is obviously working. And so if I were to want to become a hype man, right? So what would I have to do? Like, give me some technicals, give me some just like intangible things that you got to have to be that type of hype man for a D1 university.
I would start by saying you have to really hydrate before your performance and really get some carbs in your system, because the amount of times that I have nearly passed out on the gymnastics floor because I didn't have enough in my system after I'm going hard in that 4th rotation is nuts. But no, I play with you on that. But, for me, it's a connection between the student athletes and yourself to gain permission to be a part of their student athlete experience, right? Something that I was very intentional about, and I am very intentional about all 6 seasons I've been with the Gymbacks, is stepping foot into the gymnastics practice gym ahead of the season. And I learn their floor routines and start to feel those things out. I watch some of the things that what does an athlete like as they're approaching an event? Do they like a more calmer environment? Do they like something a little bit more high energy and a little bit more intense? I even get to listen inside of the practice gym in the Bev Lewis Center on campus, what sort of music is playing when they're doing a balance beam routine. And I can coach the DJ up in a competition that hey, this athlete needs something a little bit more calm and subdued when they're on balance beam, but this athlete wants nothing close to that. Bump it up and let's make it happen. And I can kind of orchestrate those things. So that's my number one piece of advice. And I do now get to train up other hype guys and hype women at other universities across the country, is start with getting to know the student athletes that you're going to go out there and get the entire stadium to cheer for and to get energy and pouring that energy out. Once you understand them and get to know them, your job is so much easier, because you're just going off your gut reactions to knowing exactly what Frankie Price wants before she goes to floor. What does Jocelyn Robertson want right before she goes on the balance beam? And I can tell you all of those things about every single student athlete on every single event, because that's going to make the environment be the home floor advantage that we want in a way, a home arena, and make it really hard for the away teams to come to Bud Walton Arena and compete against us.
Yeah. That is really cool. Let's get a flash mob at Bud Walton going. But so for you getting ready for a meet, what kind of prep goes into the week of, the day before going into a meet, and kind of how did you have to kind of adjust that routine to doing the basketball game, especially back-to-back nights right after a gym meet?
Yeah, it's a great question. First, I've never done a back-to-back ever. So I have posted on my social media, especially this year, I wear a Whoop band on my wrist during the meets. And some people have always asked me how much do you output in these meets? And so meet number 1, I put out 1,800 calories. Meet 2 against LSU, I put out 2,300 calories. And then I threw down another 1,900 against Florida. So I really felt like a slacker in that third meet, But no, the preparation actually starts in a collaborative environment with the marketing staff at the University of Arkansas, where we build the show. We actually don't refer to it as building out the meet show. We literally call this a show, right? It's a spectacle. And it's not just a show because there's lights and smoke and all this other stuff. It's a show because we really believe that the 10,000 people coming to Bud Walton Arena regularly are coming to see something that they're incredibly fascinated by, because none of us on this podcast right now can do pretty much anything that an Arkansas gymnast can do, right?
Not at all.
Even the full turn that they do on the balance beam, like I would commonly refer to it when I'm talking to groups of, young athletes or adults or whatever it may be. The full turn on balance beam is like stepping up to the free throw line in basketball. Like it takes on this pressure that you're feeling, and it's like, am I going to make it? I know I've made this shot a million times, but like, I have to pull up tight through my core, through my head, make sure that I turn around, make sure my heel stays up. Like, there's so many different things that go into that, and all the technical pieces of it. It's wild. But with that, the show that we're creating is creating a home floor advantage, and I work with the marketing staff to do so. So once the show is built, I meet with them, make sure that we're all on the same page from all show elements. We meet with RSN from a video board standpoint. We meet with event management from anything we need to run throughout the entire arena. We meet with the lighting and audio teams to make sure that anything specific that we need to adjust in the introductions or anything of that nature, everyone's on the same page. And I'll say that's one of my favorite parts about working with the University of Arkansas staff and support staff, is everyone is so on board with the collaborative efforts to creating the best show in the country. And I can say, I've been around to many, many gymnastics meets. What you witness in Bud Walton Arena is unmatched. It is next level. Some people might have flames. They might have a bigger platform that they stand on in the beginning. But the true essence of what you feel inside of that arena, matched with the tradition of Arkansas athletics, there's nothing like it around the country. And we know that, and we feel the weight of ensuring that the gratitude that we have for every fan that walks into the arena, that's what we feel going into a weekend like that, is making sure that we're putting on a show that's worthy of every ticket purchased, the time that people are taking to come to Arkansas Gymnastics. And none of that's lost on us. So that's what it's like the week ahead of time. And then let me tell you, when I had the back-to-back with basketball, I looked at the gymnastics athletic trainer and I said, I have to jump into a cold tub the moment that the gymnastics meet ends. And so literally the meet ended, we announced the scores, I said goodbye to a couple of people, and then the student trainer walked me over to the basketball facility, and I hopped into the cold tank for 15 minutes, got some stuff, like made that recovery happen, did Normatech, got some food in my system, went to bed because I knew the next day I was going to need to turn around and make it happen again. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Austin.
I just got one question. So I guess back when COVID was still happening, I watched I forgot what Hogs Plus calls it, but I think it was kind of introducing you to the fan base through Hogs Plus. As back when COVID was still here, and you flew into Northwest Arkansas, and I see skyscrapers behind you, and I know that's not in Arkansas, at least not Northwest Arkansas. So, where do you live, and do you get flown in for every meet or game or whatever you do?
It's a great question. I promise I didn't put the skyscraper behind me on purpose. No, I actually live in Seattle, Washington, currently. Over the last 6 seasons, I've lived all over the place. Home base for a while was Southern California. I moved to New York City for a year in 2022. And I've had different projects take me to different places around the country. But yeah, the university flies me in and out for all of the home meets. And if there's 2 back-to-back home meets, like we had that first week of the season, I'll stay the whole week. And so try to be a little bit conscious of that, but also conscious on my body that I don't need to be like flying back and forth the whole time. But yeah, I get flown in. I do not live in Fayetteville, Arkansas, although there are many times that I've contemplated getting a condo there.
Yeah, that's really cool. So one thing that, is a question that I didn't think about until, it was put in here. Have you felt the difference this year in Bud Walton compared to other years when the meets have been in Barnhill? And this year is the first full season every meet is in Bud Walton.
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. It's making me reflect a little bit because, over the last 2 years, we have had 1 or 2 meets in Bud Walton Arena. And, it had been a goal of head coach Jordan Weber's for a while to move meets from Barnhill over to Bud. And it wasn't really anything about Bud or about Barnhill. We love Barnhill. It's an amazing, close-knit environment. What we get to do with the student section in Barnhill Arena was so amazing, and how close it was in proximity to the floor exercise. But at some point, when you start selling out that arena multiple times, you want to be able to give access to as many fans as possible. And that's what started guiding the path of moving into Bud Walton. Now, in terms of other SEC programs around the country, something we're really proud of, but it's also a goal we're striving after, is Bud Walton Arena is actually the largest capacity arena that any school in the entire country is competing gymnastics in. So there are other schools like the University of Utah competing in front of 15,000, I believe their capacity is, and the only one that goes a little bit above it is Rupp Arena, but Kentucky does not compete in there at all of their events. They compete in Memorial Coliseum, and they compete one event in Rupp. So now that our home base is Bud Walton Arena, it's a big goal of ours to see how many people we can actually push and make those NCAA gymnastics records break in terms of attendance. Now, in terms of have I felt a difference? I have. What I can do from a show element standpoint, when I have fans sitting on all 4 sides of the floor, instead of like at Barnhill, we only had 3 sides, I can do my crowd wave very differently. We can do an HOGS in all the corners. We can really play with some elements in that way. And when I can have the ability to play with noise, with excitement, with energy, the girls feel that. The student athletes truly, truly, truly feel all of that. And I'll say we were a little nervous going into that Monday meet on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We were nervous about attendance because some people had it off work, some people didn't, and we just didn't know how many were going to show up. And I remember standing there about halfway through the first rotation, and I stood next to head coach Jordan Weber, and I was like, this feels good. This feels really good. And, it wasn't the highest attendance we've ever had, but it was higher than the capacity of Barnhill. And we were grateful that people got to show up and make it happen. So I'm feeling really, really amazing about what we get to do in Bud Walton. And there's also some other nerdy tech stuff I can get into about the capacity of what we get to do in Bud Walton versus in Barnhill, but I'll spare you the details on that.
Do you have something there, Austin?
No, man. I think I got all my questions answered, but yeah, dude, I'm pumped, and hopefully you can continue to do that with basketball too. Maybe get a little bit of fresh blood, going there. And heck, dude, maybe you can turn football around too. Hey, that'd be preferred if you could do that. That would be nice. But yeah, I think it's a cool because the NBA kind of has like an MC kind of going on at the same time. So I feel like college sports is just becoming more and more professional as we go on, especially with like NIL and stuff like that too. So why not just go all out, right? Let's get the whole crowd experience exactly, the same tier. And the thing is with college fans, they're usually a little bit more passionate. So you could have a hell of an environment in just a rinky-dink stadium versus at a professional football stadium. So I think this is a cool thing that you're doing, and I think it's it might be an opening for other colleges to do the same.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. It's been a labor of love for sure. And I think something that I'm really proud of is, when Jordan asked me to be in this role at the University of Arkansas, there was no one like what I'm doing in college gymnastics. And I was just with actually one of the coaches from the University of Florida gymnastics team, which we beat on Friday. But he was out in Seattle recruiting just yesterday. And, I rubbed it in a little bit with him, made sure he knew that we took the W, and he was like, yeah, it was a good one. But the thing that we're really proud of is that people are recognizing that our competitive environment is stepping up the game and really elevating what could possibly be done across our sport. Right now, people always talk about in the sport of gymnastics, you take advantage of an Olympic year, because from a fan perspective, people watch Simone Biles do the craziest things you've ever seen in your entire life, and they jump on board with Team USA in that way. And it's incredible and amazing. And we take advantage of that in a lot of ways. But knowing that there is a place for people in Northwest Arkansas or all over the country where there are incredible gymnastics teams happening. And there are typically 5 home meets where you can bring your family and friends and go and experience an environment of the awe, the inspiration coming from these student athletes that are doing things that the 4 of us could never dream of doing. There's something about having that hour and a half of your day just to be completely in awe of it. So it's not lost on me that I am getting to pioneer a path in the sport of gymnastics in this way. But I do believe in pushing the envelope across the whole sport. I got the opportunity last year. I was the in-arena MC and host for the NCAA championship. So I did the 2 semifinal rounds and the finals on ABC. That was incredible. I actually am also get hired to do the Big Ten championship of gymnastics. And this year they're talking about having me do a regional championship, first round of the national championship. Other podium meets are hiring me to do stuff. So it's being noticed. And I never let people stop listening to me talk about how it all started, of the permission I was given at the University of Arkansas to create this electric environment. And I always get people say, well, why Arkansas? Why Arkansas? I'm like, well, I'll be honest, my best friend being the head coach is really helpful on that note. But the reason that I've been having such a blast at the University of Arkansas is I can't think of another college in the entire country that has an entire state rallying around all of the sports happening at one university. There's not really professional sports teams in the state of Arkansas to conflict with the attention coming for Arkansas athletics. So when every single lawn sign across the entire state, whether they're in the northwest corner or not, is all for the Razorbacks, come on. My job is so much easier that way. That's not lost on me at all. But it makes it harder for a school like, I don't know, even the University of Washington here in Seattle. You're conflicting times with 7 professional sport teams, all within a 5-mile radius of one another. And in Fayetteville, all that we're in conflict with is sometimes there's a softball game happening at the same time as a gymnastics meet, and we're giving live softball scores inside of the gymnastics meet, and the softball is doing the same with gymnastics, right? And we can have that collaboration. So I'm grateful for the platform. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've been given at the University of Arkansas for me to be able to create. And I try to carry with me Razorback Nation in so many different ways, anywhere that I get the opportunity to go around the country in this very unique and crazy role that I have as the hype man. So it is something I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yeah, Cory, like you mentioned, you're in Seattle, you got all the sports teams, you got the Mariners, you got the Seahawks, all around there. University of Washington, even Oregon's not that far away.
Right.
So for Arkansas, we revolve around our sports teams, where you go from football to basketball. You got gymnastics season right now. Softball and baseball is about to ramp up. And I'm a big baseball guy. You know, are you going to make it out to Baum Walker at all this year?
Okay, you know what? I've never made it to a baseball game, and I've always wanted to, but they're always sold out, and I can't get a ticket. So for the best reason ever, I'm not able to get to a baseball game, but I would like to get to a baseball game. So maybe I just need to throw my Hype Man jersey on and lie to someone and tell them
I'm sure they'll let you in.
Hey, we can help out, get you a ticket, find you a way to get you there. A weekend you're in, if that, you know, maybe coincides, or you make a trip in. But a few more questions here before we wrap up. So Transplant Texas says, what was the difference between Hype for gymnastics and Hype for basketball? I mean, two completely different sports. You know, what was the difference, you know, between them for you and doing one and the other and getting to see them on back-to-back nights?
I'm going to give you my nerdy answer. This is me putting my nerdy marketing hat on. Okay. So in the sport of gymnastics, you create energy that matches what the home team needs on the event they're on. On vault, we need powerful, quick energy that sustains a lot of noise, and then it needs to come down when the away team is on bars, simply because a quiet arena is a cringy arena, and we want them to overthink a little bit, right? So high energy for vault, I'm pointing down the vault runway and making that whole thing happen. Then we go over to bars. On bars, I'm just kind of like letting the pulse happen. I'm trying to like just keep the energy, keep people knowing that like if they follow me, they're going to be an educated fan that knows when to cheer and when not to cheer and things of that sort. Over on balance beam, so right now things are kind of like level out in this way. Then once we go to balance beam, the energy kind of goes like this depending on who's on the balance beam. Right? Jocelyn Robertson, for example, came over to me 2 meets ago, and she was like, I can't have this slow music. Like, I need something happening in here. I need some sort of energy. So we react to that. We pull the energy up a little bit. I get the crowd going a little bit more. Versus an athlete like Priscilla Park, for example, you know, I get the energy going once her dismount happens, but she's a more focused, deliberate athlete that when she's on the balance beam, we need to like pull the energy back. And then we have this, we go here, and then all of a sudden, everything needs to ramp up and go crazy for that fourth rotation, right? So at the end of it all, we have this exponential curve that ends real high. Well, as I'm sitting in this meeting, learning about what I need to do for basketball, I basically am realizing that it's completely the opposite in basketball, right? We have to start out super high. We got to go hot. We got to get the introductions. We got to do the lights and the smoke. We got to do the mascots and the flags. We're going to do hog calls. We're going to do all sorts of stuff at the top of the show. We load up all of our sponsored content right there at the top of the show, try to get things high. We had parachutes flying from the ceiling. We had t-shirts being tossed. I did the big crowd wave with the light sticks. We turned the lights off and created that energy. Everything is starting real high. And then what happens is that you have to be emotionally aware of what the score is doing, where fouls are coming in, how fans are reacting, and have that be over here, while simultaneously you have to have this energy of, if the team is coming down, how do you give a genuine and authentic energy into the team to make sure that they know that you're still there and you're still with them, and Razorback Nation is behind them, even if they're 10, 15 points back, right? I would say that was the foreign space for me, because in gymnastics, even if there's like a little dip, my job is to finish strong, right? And when there's when the point spread goes bigger, it's just not natural for me to like come and bring the energy real low and match what the scoreboard says. And instead, it's interjecting and kind of bringing the energy back up. But I had to do that real softly, right? So in the Alabama game, we felt that, right? We felt it start out real high. It started coming down real low. And then about, I don't know, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like the under 6 media timeout. There was this moment where the marketing staff was looking at me being like, do you want to ad lib some hype right now? And I was like, listening to what the DJ was playing, like watching what Spirit Squad was doing. And I was like, I think I want to vibe this out and see what's happening. But I left the mic off and I started to bring like local noise and local energy to people around me on the sideline. And then I'm so glad that I did that, because it allowed me to make that shift the moment that gameplay started shifting, and then everything started ramping back up again, right? So how is it different? It's incredibly different. I'm pretty much scripted in a gymnastics meet, and in basketball, I have to follow the ebbs and flows of the game, but I also have to be incredibly aware of how we can interject authentic energy while simultaneously making sure that the players know that we're not gone, that they know we are still with them, and that we still have their back, and that we're going to be here with them till the very last buzzer is there. So that's my long-winded answer on how different those two are.
Yeah, that's interesting on the, the ways like you're talking about how like being kind of complete opposite there, and kind of having to feel out the crowd more. That is interesting to think about, as, I kind of did the same as you. Like I went to the gymnastics meet and I was at the basketball game to see the difference and actually think about it like you were explaining it. It's something interesting to think about for sure.
Yeah. It's a fun time. And I think I keep using the term grateful and gratitude in all of this, but, I wouldn't have been able to, nerd out like I just did about basketball energy and basketball marketing had I not experienced it myself and gotten the opportunity to experience it myself. I'll admit there were many times that I felt like I was like split in so many directions, because I was like, okay, what was the foul that was called? Okay, the marketing guys in this year being like, the next bit we're going to do is we're going to toss cows attached to parachutes, like coming from the ceiling. Okay, do you have what you need? Do you have the read? Do you have all this stuff? And I also need to like understand where the points are, so that as I take the court, I can execute all of those things with energy and emotion that matches what everyone in the arena is feeling from a gameplay standpoint, while simultaneously making the sponsors happy, right? So there's a lot in juggle that we juggle in those moments. But at the end of the day, energy is energy, and team loyalty is team loyalty. And I can shout out for the Razorbacks and make all those hog calls happen that, your fans on here were talking about earlier, and keep the traditions alive. So we'll push the envelope as much as we can. And I'd love to do another basketball game if they'll have me. So. Yeah. And a football game at that point.
Yeah, let's get you to football and baseball both. Let's just get you at all the events, softball included. We'll just do them all. But kind of wrapping up here, a two-part question. So once you mentioned doing some championships and the all those, but kind of once gymnastics wraps up, what does off season look like for Cory? And then also, I'm sure you're planning on being back again next year for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, I'll be back at Arkansas as long as they'll have me. That's kind of my thing. Many people don't know, but I actually do have an exclusive contract with the University of Arkansas. So my face and voice can only represent Arkansas Gymnastics as a gymnastics program on campus. I can go and do these other entities and these other competitions that are owned by non-collegiate entities, like the Big Ten championship or NCAA championship, things of that sort. But I do have an exclusive contract with the University of Arkansas. So I'd love to be back. What was your other question?
What does off season look like for you when you're done with all the gymnastics stuff?
Yeah. Off season for Cory, I do have a full-time job. Some people don't realize that, but I don't just get to bounce around on Friday nights 5 times a year and make all the money I need in a year. I do have a full-time job. I'm a marketing and communications director for a club gym up here in Seattle that's training some high caliber athletes, as well as, helping 1-year-olds have their mommy and me classes in gymnastics. So I'll continue to work for Pacific Range Gymnastics here in Seattle. In addition, I get asked to do little speaking engagements and camps and clinics around all over the summer. So I'll do that. And there's some other stuff that's in the works right now where my hype man role might be blossoming into some other large arena spaces, which I'm super excited about. Can't chat about just yet. But let's just say the platform that the University of Arkansas has given me to create this role and what this has become is opening up some really cool doors that I'm super grateful for. And I'm grateful for head coach Jordan Weber. I'm grateful for, Elvis in the marketing department, Kat, Hunter. I mean, Hunter has been a fan of mine for such a long time. And he's always super grateful and extends a handshake. Him and his wife always extend a big hug and a handshake to me after the meets, and are grateful for, what I bring to the floor in those ways. But I'm equally grateful for the collaboration that I get to have with the incredible staff at the University of Arkansas to create some really cool and special moments. And yeah, I mean, I know that what's happening in the gymnastics arena is being talked about in other sports on campus. And so I hope that some of the little nuances that we have implemented in Bud Walton Arena through the gymnastics program over the last 6 years hasn't been easy, but those moments and those little changes have really made it a huge difference. And I hope that other sports start to adopt some of those to be able to sustain energy, to create fan engagement, and to just build up these crowds, because the student athletes on campus absolutely deserve it. I think about these student athletes having these memories for a lifetime of having, 12,000 people in Bud Walton Arena screaming for them right before they go for their last pass on floor. Like, you'll never get to experience that again in your life. And if I can do that for as many teams as I can, I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's really cool. It was great to have you come on and give that insight. Like Allison says here, from all you've talked about, it said, it really does sound like you're not just a hype man for our athletes here at Arkansas, but also that emotional support person too, which is really cool because, like you said, you have to connect with these athletes on a, really deep level to, like you said, understand what they need at certain times and things like that. So it was really cool to, get your insight on that. We appreciate you taking the time to jump on here with us, talk about your Hype Man experience, kind of a little bit about your background. We've got a couple more home meets this season. So for all you Arkansas fans out there, if you haven't been to one, shame on you. But also, if you haven't, get out there and come, watch these ladies do their thing. They're fantastic, but also, come see the hype that, Cory brings to, help support these ladies too. It's fantastic. And again, we just thank you for, taking time to jump on with us for a few minutes.
It's my pleasure. I'll give one little note on this next home meet that's happening at the end of the month. It's against Alabama. It's a big one. Like, I know that we've been up against number 2 or maybe 3 ranked teams like in the last 2 meets, but this one's going to be a really close ranking matchup with Alabama, and it will be a very, very close meet. So make sure you go ahead to that one. And our last home meet in the middle of March will be against Missouri for senior night, and it'll be for sure very special. So I would love to see everyone out there, and thanks again for having me on, you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Go follow Cory on Twitter and his social medias. Where can people find you at, across all the social medias?
Yeah, you can find me at Cory M. Tomlinson on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever they call those things all these days. But yeah, I'm throwing down some tweets with some double red exclamation points here and there just to bring the hype and energy wherever I go.
Awesome. So that's been Cory Tomlinson, aka Hype Man Cory, joining us tonight. We thank you for tuning in and jumping on with us. And we'll see you at the next gym meet.
Sounds good. See you guys.
See ya.